Today is January 3rd. Happy New Year. It is the first EDC meeting of the year. It's actually the first one in a while. We've missed a few months. Today, quick agenda we're going to run through is, I don't have the prior notes. Our secretary is not here today, so I do not have those to go through, but we'll do that next time. I do want to discuss, we don't have good follow-up, but I do want to discuss the CMRPC work that we were doing when Dominique and them came in. So I do want to make sure that we have some action items that we can go and follow up with them, because we haven't spoken to them since before the holiday. I do want to discuss, there was a Facebook poll, speaking of Dynamic Douglas, I had actually posted, not on behalf of the EDC, but it was kind of around EDC types of things. I do want to pull that up and kind of make that an open conversation so people understand what we actually posted that we're not on Facebook. I also want to go and discuss quickly the open available properties and just see if we want to put any other action items or plans around those. I also, today we are going to go into executive session towards the end, and then I will leave it for open discussion after we come out of executive session before the end of the day. So that is the agenda we're working off of. Anything you guys want to add to that? Oh, actually, I'm going to add one thing. The website has been updated as of January 1st, and we need to go and update our piece of that website. So that is actually a major piece that I'm adding to the agenda.
I sent an item to...
Me.
Was it you?
The names are wrong on the website.
Yeah.
We were waiting for them to switch over to the new Civic, I forgot what it's called.
That's what Maria sent me a message back saying it will be done, but not now.
And I'm going to go take care of it. So I have the login to go modify all that. I can give everybody else here logins, and we'll discuss that as part of this. So first thing, let's go through some of the quick and easy ones. CMRPC. So we had the 2 sessions with Dominique. The first one was with the businesses, where we had probably about 5 of them, 6 of them show up. Good positive feedback out of that. We did have some action items. Those action items were tied back to, I'm doing this from memory right this second, we're tied back to understanding the bylaws for wetlands to see if we can make it, if our wetlands bylaws are too restrictive for some businesses to go into certain properties, we were going to investigate that to see if we wanted to bring them back down to state levels, if we were like harder than state levels. That was one of the main things that came out of that. She also had some interviews they were going to go do with the town employees to understand how they are working around all the processes and to see if there are other things we might want to modify.
Did we get
around
feedback from that?
No, and that's what I was bringing up right now, is that was one of the action items that we have to follow up with Dominique on. So those are the 2 AIs that we have coming out of the business discussion. We then had the open discussion, which as I think we all knew, attendance was not that great, but the discussion was actually pretty good. And we did a whole pros and cons list, and we wrote all that out. I had not seen follow-up on that through the holiday. So I will make sure one of the action items right now coming out of this, and I don't think anybody else has heard from Dominique, I'm going to assume. Paul sometimes does, because she sometimes emails me or him, but
yeah, I haven't got
you haven't got anything either. So I'm going to follow up with Dominique, and I'm going to ask them, I think, to come back in February with maybe some of those action items as what are the next steps for that stuff. So that's going to be one of our major follow-up action items there. The hope was that from the work they were doing, we were going to look for some type of a plan to put in place against certain properties. That was the outcomes we were looking for, to see how we can drive more business to those properties. What we're not looking for is another study. We're not looking for another thing. We're looking for almost an actionable plan so they can help us build out. So that is the first step that I'll make sure we follow up with Dominique on. Let's go to the website update before the Facebook poll, because I do have to pull up the Facebook poll in a minute. So website update. The Douglas Town website has been transferred over from the old hosting provider to the new hosting provider. The new hosting provider is Civic, and I forgot the last part of the name, but I'll look it up. Basically, it is the same hosting provider that a lot of the other towns now in the state use. So it's actually, they understand how all the modules work, and they kind of align better. It actually looks really nice if you go on there. They're still working on it. There's still old content, but they're cleaning it up. We have the ability to clean up our section inside of that. Let me actually see if I can pull that up right now while we're talking, because I am on the I am on the internet, I think. And nope, of course the internet's not working on my laptop right now. It was supposed to be working. Give me a second.
Well, it would really be good if you could put it on that screen up there, but
Yeah, we've never gotten that to work properly.
We can look over your shoulder.
But that's okay. No, it's okay. The internet's not going to work right now.
Yeah, the website used to be Mitch Cohen's Proactive Interactive.
Yeah, and it's been
provided
updated and
service.
changed now. It's a hosted civic site type of thing. So on the website, as of now, the things that we have to update, first of all, I have to update the members, yourself and Luke. The old site did not have that update. We have to get that updated,
Yeah.
number one. Number two, we had an original web page that talked about available properties. And we kind of starred like 4 or 5 key properties, which I don't think anymore are key properties. So we probably want to make sure that we update an available properties page again. And we have to discuss what do we want to put on there. So what sites in town do we feel like are why, like we've always had the North Street Gilboa corner, right? Dan Heaney's property.
Right.
We got to probably come up with our next top 3 or 4 sites that we actually want to go list on there. So that's one of the action items I will make sure we take away from this, is we need to understand that.
Yeah, one of the sites is the Route 16 West site, and that's...
Route 16
I mean, that was-
West. It was a small site out there, right? It wasn't that
Well,
big.
it's a small site.
Like the
but
Webster line?
It was the big one with hundreds of acres. but-
Was,
but
not
now it's
anymore.
State forest land, yeah.
It's not anymore. So we'll make sure that,
But we still have a piece there.
We do.
yeah, but it was like in the 20s or 30 acres, or?
I think it's 11 or 12 or something. like
Yeah, it's not a
That
gigantic
much.
site. Gather site, so available land data for website, and highlight a few. And that's going to be, I'll give everybody homework here. Please look at the website. You'll find, now go back to the website, look at the way the page is, and if we can come back in February with recommendations on what you'd like to see there, we can actually throw that up. Go on.
But yeah, no, getting onto the website, same old thing. You just click on it.
Actually, it'll link you, yeah, go to
Towns.
Douglas.ma or Douglas.gov.a, whatever it was, and you go
Town of
select the
Douglas,
original
and
one.
then
Yeah.
the Economic Development Commission, and then you get...
So it looks different, but it's easy to navigate. If you go under the new one, you'll see government or whatever, or boards and committees, and then I think on the left there is economic development, and then it pops you to our site, and then it has our tabs you can actually go through in there.
Yeah, that sounds like...
Basically, it looks similar. It looks different, but it's laid out similar in there.
Okay.
Okay. So let's come back with recommendations on the website in general, but also properties that we might want to highlight. As I stated, North Street is so far the only one that we keep continuously highlighting, and we're not getting traction on that one. So we probably have to figure out how to do maybe some type of a sales campaign on that specific property. It's too valuable, it's too open of a corner, too accessible for utilities. It's just too good not to try to push something on there. So I would like to also suggest, and it's just suggestion, that maybe we figure out throughout early 2019, how can we maybe put a campaign in place to help North Street itself, bring in a grocery, a supermarket, pharmacy, over 55 community, things that we've all discussed in many forums.
Combination of.
Or combinations of, we want to make that, but that is definitely a property that we want to go and highlight.
55 homes will support a supermarket. A CVS, Walgreens type of, Rite Aid type of.
Yeah. So, and we'll
pharmacy.
probably have to give that action item when we're all together, hopefully come February when Carol's back and Luke's able to make it. And we're shifting this to Wednesdays. So at that point, I think everybody's a little better off. We'll hopefully then be able to assign that to somebody to say, you know, if you and maybe 2 people can go and take that and focus specifically on North Street, that'll probably be a good action item for people. And anything else that went on the website? I also put a Google Maps, and they actually transferred that over. So I had put an interactive Google map where I pinned out a ton of different properties that anybody that clicked on it can go to it, and I even linked some of the MLS listings that were back to some of them.
That's been on for a while.
It's been on for a while, has not been updated in a while, but we can update it. It probably hasn't changed much, honestly.
Is it
And
similar to the assessor's office?
I did
their
use
map?
the assessor's map. I couldn't put the assessor's map on there, but basically I took the assessor's map and kind of their layouts, and I basically pinned over all of the different sites into the
Yeah,
Google
'cause
map.
They'll give you property map, property owners.
That's exactly
A
what
to
we're
Z,
doing. And I
gather
put
on
some
that
basic
land.
information on the pin flags for each of them. We just got to go and update that Google map because it actually is a good kind of direction thing if you don't want to go into the assessor's map fully, which that is the real place to go if you want stuff. So from a website perspective, we got to update people, we want to highlight properties, and we got to go and figure out what else we want to update on the website to better sell the town. So that's an action item for everybody here to go and figure out.
It's a homework.
So homework. It should be an easy one. Just browse the website and come up with some ideas. You got 4 weeks. That one should not be hard. The other thing that, and I have been very lackadaisical on this one, is updating our Facebook page, which Paul was much better when he ran this than I have been. So we need to get back on that one. Now I'll take the onus on that. I don't know the best way of doing that. I mean, is it, do we want to make that as a place that we handle discussions? Like right now, as an example, we're having conversations in groups like the Dynamic Douglas Facebook group. We're having, maybe there are other groups on there. Also, there's another Blackstone Douglas group that actually people have conversations in also. Is the economic development page a place that we just want to advertise for businesses in town and for available properties and whatnot? Or do we want to make that an active conversation page? Open dialogue, I don't care which way.
Well, it's called input. I say yes.
Okay.
I don't do Facebook.
I know, that's fine.
So-
Yep, and Paul's on it now. I know Carol's on it, and Luke and I are on it.
I don't
So.
have
I'm
a
not
clue how
posting
to
too
even
much
get
stuff, but
But
yeah,
you can see, it's not hard to use. Facebook's not really hard. But to that point, I
I
think.
just don't have the time for it.
Totally understand, and I'm not asking you to go on. But I think from a Facebook perspective, we do need to actually figure out how to use our page better. Probably just the homework that I want to take away. So I will give another action item, which is basically, how do we want to use our Facebook page?
I would say the topics that need to be discussed, we can plant the seed on our webpage and say, go to this Facebook page, this is the question of the month.
We could
need
do stuff like
feedback.
that. That's a great
We
idea.
need feedback, guys.
I like the question of the month type of concept. So that's a good idea we can throw there. Question of the
right.
month.
At one time, we had a business of the month, and
We did do a business
we
month.
put them on the Facebook
We can
page.
pick that one back up.
But that was a little tough. I mean, we did the local, maybe half a dozen or 6 or 8 local ones, but then it got to be work.
Oh, we can also
We can
highlight,
find-
again, this is where we can
time for it.
highlight properties. You know, it's like, hey, North Street Gilboa, let's put up some of the listings on there and some of the pros and cons, and we can point some real
Do
estate
you
people
know
at
of a
it and
piece of
whatnot.
property that might become available? And they might contact us and say, hey,
Exactly.
there's 80 acres ready to go down here. Nobody knows about it.
So let's all go and definitely put some questions out there and give them ways to contact us, right? They can contact us through Facebook, go to the website, or email us. And
I mean, what's our mission? Develop the economy, right?
Right.
Give us some property, we'll put somebody on it.
So so from a Facebook perspective, action items for this group is to basically go home, just jot down a few ideas, bring them back, and we'll all try to brainstorm a little bit come February to see what we want to actually do with the Facebook page.
Want us to email them to you, or just bring them in here?
Well, let's just bring them in here. Honestly, I probably won't have time between now and then to really go and I will get lost in my email. So let's just bring them in. Okay, next thing on Facebook. Approximately a month to a month and a half ago, I had posted in a Facebook group called Dynamic Douglas, which is the largest Facebook group for the town of Douglas. It probably has a few thousand people in it at this point. And I had posted a personal poll. This is nothing representing the Economic Development Committee or the town, but I had posted a poll asking people in town if they could get a business in town. It's almost what we had the conversation that we didn't have as many turnouts. I asked it kind of more publicly. If they could have business come into town, what types of businesses would they like to see in town, and vote on them? So I put some ideas into the poll, and then we let everybody else have at it. Everything from marijuana dispensaries, of course, grocery stores, pharmacies. We had people coming in with like coffee shops.
Laundromats.
Laundromat was another one somebody came in with. Surprisingly, and I'm doing this from memory because my internet's not working right now, the top 4 or 5 of them, number 1, hands down, was actually marijuana dispensary.
No kidding.
That was number 1 in town. Now, keep in mind the number of votes on that one was over 100 people. It was probably in the 120. I have to go back and look officially. But there was a very big, almost everybody that voted tended to vote for that plus something else. The next few after,
It's hard to believe.
it's
No, it's
the times. So after the marijuana discussion, which everybody sees as the next big financial growth opportunity, I think it turned out beyond ride on the bandwagon, which was the marijuana discussion. It actually became a little bit more of grocery store, pharmacy, were the next two that were in there. I'm trying to remember the fourth one. There was a big one in there also.
Restaurant or something.
Actually, restaurant was one of them, but well, no more pizza stores. People were commenting on it also. No more pizza in town. But basically what I think stuck out was, and people were big on the 55 and over adult community. That actually did pop up on the list, and people were interested in that. But there was a lot of interaction going on in that thread, and I did save it so it is in Facebook and we can pull it out to actually get it. I'll print that out for the next meeting, so we'll actually have it. But it is interesting to actually hear some of the feedback, but this town is ready for whether we do get into the marijuana business, whether we do get in and bring in a grocery store and a pharmacy. I think the town's probably, my opinion, this is all my opinion, from comments and from reading different posts and whatnot on Facebook, it feels like there is a sentiment that the town obviously wants to bring in more tax revenue. Check, got that, we all know that. It feels like they're looking for some basic services. Now, marijuana is not a basic service to me. That feels like that's a financial gain that they're aiming for. The groceries and the pharmacy stores felt like they turned into a little bit more of an asset to the town, so they didn't have to travel as far. They can have some services in town that might be a little more localized. One of the things I'd like to recommend, we don't need a vote or anything on this, is as we're looking at highlighting things like North Street, we look at those types of things, 55 and over community, supermarket. We look at a pharmacy, maybe all three of them together, as we've discussed in some different forums.
Complement each other.
Right? Maybe you actually do one of those combo condos above, stores underneath, and you bring in a Rite Aid, you bring in a Trader Joe's or a Dave's supermarket from Rhode Island, or you bring in one of those types of things, and you can kind of combine them. So I think as we're investigating, that Facebook poll kind of just validated where some of our heads were at, and I think we might want to play off of that for the beginning of the year at least. Any comments, feedback?
No, the convenience stores are doing pretty good business, I think, and that's a good indication that a larger store would do very good also,
And we're not looking for probably a gigantic Wegmans. We don't want to take on the world.
We don't want people from all over.
And Whole Foods probably is not going to come into somewhere like a Douglas or even this area as much. Right. Maybe, you never know, because they're expanding with Amazon, but you go for the Trader Joe's, which does fit a little bit more into our type of town. You go for the Dave's Markets. We already have a Shaw's, a Hannaford's, a Price Chopper, a second Price Chopper, a Market Basket. So we have a lot of those guys around us, pretty close.
But nothing within us.
But nothing in us. So we got. I've been investigating a little bit myself and contacting people, but no bites as of yet. So I think that's something I do want to make sure we kind of go after a little bit more. So I wanted to put that out there. That's why I took the feedback away from on the Facebook poll. So.
What's the percentage, how many hits did you have on Dynamic Douglas total?
You mean on that poll?
Yeah.
The biggest voting group was that marijuana one, which was over 100 people.
100 out of?
Oh, thousands.
2,000?
Yeah, there's a few thousand people, at least 2,000 to 3,000 people easily inside of Dynamic Douglas. So yeah, it's a big group. So, but that's it's a sampling. It's what you're going to get. I think, look at the turnout we had in person here for that same exact conversation. I got a better sampling going on Facebook with a poll than I did for the turnout for the 3 people that showed up here.
It's hard to get people out.
It is, which is why I want to use social media.
Town meeting,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
many show up.
Unless it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
Nobody shows up.
Exactly. So from a Facebook poll, one of the things I think I'd like to do is I want to, if everybody's okay with this, I would like to use Facebook for more sentiment gathering, is what I'll call it. Put out there more open conversations on to really understand, hey, is the cannabis industry interesting? And pros and cons, who's against it, who's for it, why? Let's have a discussion. It's the only place right now that's the easiest place to gather some of that data.
So a lot of people that do it too, that jump in there and make comments.
So I'm going to be ringleader on this, and Luke will probably back me up because I know he's pretty vocal in Dynamic Douglas. But I'm just going to, I'm letting you guys know that we are going to put out topics. So if you have any topics, I know you're not on Facebook, so if you have things you want to find out, obviously you can do this offline or during meetings, but let me know what types of topics. And your wife, so your wife is on there, so she can do it. And you obviously are on there also. I know you don't post much, but
I can get on there. I look at it, but I don't post much. But
it's a resource I think that we need.
A little bit.
I think we need it as a resource to start gathering intel and data on the community and their intentions and their sentiment and feedback. It's really the easiest way to do it as of right now. Okay, so that was my Facebook conversation. You guys.
I'm happy with
that one.
You
Simple?
don't use it. I use it, but not like he does or many other people. But it's a good way to communicate, and a lot of people, the younger people, really.
Yep. So I have another topic.
Look at Trump, that's his news media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, that's Twitter. That's not
That's
Facebook.
Twitter.
He doesn't do, I don't know if he does Facebook or not.
No, he does Twitter.
He does Twitter, that's a different, I'm not doing Twitter with EDC, that doesn't make sense. So, the evaluation of the open properties, I have that as an action item. What I think I'll like to do is I tied it back to the website update. I think we're gonna take that as a future AI. We can move that forward because I would like more input from Carol and Luke on that one. So I'm gonna table that one if you guys are okay with that one until the next meeting when we have more feedback. Now, I've never done this before, so this is the first time, but I would like for us to go, we need to go into executive session, so I think this is a vote. So
I
somebody,
make a motion, we go into executive session.
I second that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're back out of executive session now. We do have open conversation. I don't know, do you have any other topics you guys want to cover before we end the meeting?
Not really, we've decided we're gonna be Wednesday nights.
So Wednesday nights, I sent that
Schedule.
schedule out officially. Chris has that, you guys have that. Hopefully we don't have more snafus, but I can't promise anything. But yes, we are gonna be Wednesday nights. I know you had choir practice. Hopefully it's
work
not
around
too
that.
bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can sneak out of a few of
Would
those.
a time be better for you, earlier, later? What time's your
It's usually 6:30 to 8.
6:30?
So no matter what, it's kind of in the middle of all that.
Move it to 6:30 or at the beginning?
Yeah, I can work around it, I think.
Okay. And if we have to shift it, maybe we'll play that game on a monthly basis. I know Luke, apparently, obviously Thursdays is just no good, period.
Could we do 6 and you come for the first half hour, stay a little, then hit the last half hour?
Where is your choir practice? Is it local in Douglas?
It's out in Webster, Oxford area, right in the line.
Oh, so he'd have to drive there anyways,
So
so.
it'd be a little bit of a haul.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see.
So we can work around
If it becomes a problem after February or March, let us know and we'll fix it up at
I
that
mean,
point.
that's bounced around and it's nights. It was Thursday for a while, you know.
Is it every week?
It was Sunday morning for a while, now it's Wednesday.
And it's every week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
If it doesn't work out, we'll try February and let us know if it doesn't work.
like this week, it's not. And we'll be skipping a lot of weeks, but then
Okay.
come Easter, we'll be very busy, you know?
So a month in advance, could you send out an email as, hey, guys, just a FYI, reminder, next week
I will,
meeting?
yeah, so the good thing is I will do that, and what I will do is I will set an automated reminder to go out, and the good thing is though, the calendar will finally be aligned with us, I think, which it hasn't, it's been off. So I think having also the website updated will help a lot.
Okay.
I wonder if the new website actually lets us do those reminders. I should check on that. That actually might help us. There's a new calendaring system in there. But yep, so it's Wednesdays going forward. The next one is on the 4th, 5th. Wait, the week of the 4th. No, the 3rd is a Sunday, I think. Isn't that Super Bowl? Yeah, no, I have a phone in my hand. I'm not looking at it.
I will look at it.
I sent you guys out the email. I just don't have it right now.
I got the email.
Any other topics that you guys want to cover?
I think we're all set.
Okay. We need.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Hang on.
It's the 6th, by the way. 6th. I just got it.
6th, February 6th.
You made a
is the next
motion?
meeting.
You want to
I'll second the motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.